Thank you, Chairman, for invitation and introduction, and thank you all for being together, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be back, to be in Berlin today with so many German and foreign people at the historic moment and at the conference, which I highly value, because it is about deeper sense of our living together in peace, friendship, and respect. I want to contribute to this conference, to this annual gathering, by some remarks on walls and bridges, what our history is teaching us and what current perspectives offer as invitation and challenge. I think that divisions, conflicts, or versus connection or integration, this is the right flag, good, thank you. This is always part of our responsibility. What prevails, what is growing? Bridges or walls? More peace or more conflictual atmosphere among us and in the world of today? 25th anniversary of the fall of Berlin Wall is a really important time because it speaks about breaking the old history and making the new history, the new reality. Freedom and unity of Berlin is linked to the freedom and unity of Germany and to the freedom and unity of Europe. There is interdependence. And I think that there is a prolongation, extrapolation of this tendency and reality also globally. Europe can and should contribute to more freedom and also to more unity or humanity of mankind, because Europe has a role. Europe was so divisive and conflicting in the past that it caused a lot of global tragedies or world wars, mass graves, bloody borders. This was Europe of 20th century especially. We still have, and there are quite many walls. I'll just mention walls in Nicosia, which is European territory. Walls in Middle East, which is not far. Walls or Iron Curtain on the Korean Peninsula. There are many. And they are bloody. They are inhuman. Please allow me to say a few remarks on how Europe, with all this legacy and potential history and experience, could do in order to help to change the world for better, not for worse, for more peace and more stability, real peace and real stability, not Cold War type peace and stability. Why this Institute of Cultural Diplomacy has a timely and important mission. And thirdly, why history and culture matters. As T.S. Eliot once put it rightly, economy is necessity, but culture gives sense to our lives, to our relations. Culture is on the top of values. Europe living in peace and harmony and cooperation or prosperity, this was a dream of many, and now becomes a reality for all, for many in terms of existing integration, and for all around because it's influential phenomenon. In the past, Europe faced more wars than peace periods. Globalization, on the other side, was always promoted by European nations. Migrations, languages, cultures influenced the world around. The position or numbers or influence of walls versus bridges is given on a relation between human interests and human values. I believe that walls or conflicts start when interest or ideology is put above human values and human respect. Bridges or balance comes when interests are put in respectful relation to rules. Rules agreed among people, among nations. But togetherness or community or unity among people and nations is possible and based on mutual benefits, common interests based on common rules and values. It is not theory, it is practice today, and it's a very important practice, not only in Europe. When human dignity for all and always or ever is our goal and criterion for policies, then we build bridges between individuals and between communities. Relations aiming towards balance and bridges or unity as a next step, therefore, are needed. Europe went through many different periods of history with hegemons guaranteeing peace and stability. We recall Napoleonic conquest, where unity was based on hegemonic power. Then Vienna Congress came with resulting balance of powers. This was kind of return to business as usual, combination of interests of emperors or kings and queens. But 100 years ago, precisely, La Grande Guerre started, which was called a Great War, but the second one came as a revenge and was even bigger. Then the third one with the name Cold War. Stalin and Hitler built unity based on ideology, unity without freedom, which is inhuman. What I want to mention as historical breakthrough and bridge building was 1950 when Schuman and Adenauer agreed, and then 6 countries signed under the agreement on the European Community on Steel and Coal. Adenauer, the most popular personality and politician and statesman of this country, said about 9th of May 1950 in his writings that this was the most happy day of his life, the day when they agreed not only to reconcile, but to build something totally new, innovative, sustainable, peaceful, constructive. It was common Europe, which is reality today. So Europe shows how it is possible to move from divisions to reconciliation, peace, cooperation, and even more, qualitatively more, which is integration. And this is a very attractive path. This is an attractive model. From 6 to 28, including Croatia as the latest, but not the last. Power of attraction is a great power. It is very deeply human and convincing. But the formula, the best narrative for this unity is unity in diversity, not unity in uniformity. Diversity here is a defining element, is a constructional element. Diversity is not the problem. So several alphabets, actually 3, Latin, Greek, and Cyrillic, and 24 languages in one union is not a bubble tower. It's Europe which respects its linguistic, cultural, religious diversity. And I think this is a must, because this is our interest, to respect, to promote, to protect, and live together, not only exist together. The costs of bloody conflicts were unmeasurable, so the costs of translation or interpretation are bearable. I think that this is proof that interests will exist, and they exist, but we have to pursue them. We have to combine values and interests, not to put one against the other. Peace is our interest, yes, but peace based on justice, peace based on freedom, not without. I was living major part of my life in the communist Czechoslovakia, where peace was reality, but without freedom, without justice. And this is not human. Europe, according to Schuman, is and historically was cradle of democracy. Europe was cradle of such phenomena, global, universal phenomena as university, international law, jus gentium, theater, Olympic idea and Olympic movement, concept of state sovereignty. But Schuman called Europe not only cradle of democracy, but invited Europe to be leader of democracy, leader of humanity. And in that sense, I think that the concept of human dignity, which is articulated in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is articulated in German Constitution, respect to each person with inviolable and undeniable rights is the first value which we should embrace, respect, promote, and adhere to. If that's the true, then we have, of course, much more to do with political, civic, economic, social, cultural rights, but human dignity should be the base and the beginning of all other rights, because it's important. If that prevails, then bridges shall prevail. If not, then we have a problem. Dividing line, it is something to remember. John Figel Kennedy here in Berlin in 1963 said, "Freedom is indivisible." And he even mentioned his expression of togetherness and solidarity with the people here, saying, "Ich bin ein Berliner." We are part of humanity, and I must repeat that freedom is indivisible. Similar message was given by another personality, Martin Luther King, saying, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to a justice everywhere. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." So we need peace for all, we need justice for all, we need freedom for all, because it is about humanity. Why I mention it? Because Europe can serve to these ideals. This is not theory or just speech because of anniversary. I think this is our daily responsibility, and we can make a difference because influence of Europe today is really significant. I was commissioner from the so-called new member state, but I think that nowadays European Union can really contribute to more human world. War in European Union is not possible, not imaginable even, but outside, yes. Look to Ukraine. European unity is still a question of peace and war, as it was 60 years ago, or 70 years ago, or 100 years ago. But we have answers. We have real functioning answers. Integration in Europe and elsewhere cannot be based on absorption of smaller, newer latecomers. Integration cannot be assimilation of those who are weaker, poorer. Integration must be based or synonym of participation as equals, on the same base, under the agreed principles, agreed treaties or law. And that's win-win. This is about respect. This is not about majorities and minorities. In reality, we all are minority within a global human family. And I think that this shift from wall and iron curtain to bridges and then to interconnections and even transfrontier entities, energy and transport networks, university consortia, twinning cities or twin cities, Euro regions, to reality of European citizenship, which means a lot inside and outside the Union. This is really added value. So 1 + 1 is more than 2, because here this is not about mathematics, but ethics, belonging together, working together, living together, not just existing beside each other or parallelly. And here, why I mention it, because culture matter. Culture matter most as the expression of our values, ideas, traditions. And therefore, culture is not an issue for harmonization. This is a message from Robert Schuman. Culturally, Europe can and should stay superpower, respecting, promoting, creative, innovative. Therefore, we need, as previous speaker spoke, dialogue of cultures, dialogue of religions. In dialogue, again, 1 + 1 is more than 2, because it is about added value, understanding, synergy, agreement, exchange of ideas. Therefore, role for this institute is growing, promoting global peace and stability through intercultural relations. Instead of multiculti, we need intercultural actions, activities, dialogue, competencies, skills. I don't want to dwell much on different instruments which we can and should use now for promoting intercultural relations inside Europe and outside, because there are many and they are important. There is a new generation called Erasmus generation, those who not only visited but studied and knew other countries as part of their larger common house. Here I want to underline importance of education, because education is the way how we eliminate ignorance, and ignorance usually breeds intolerance. And from intolerance, there is easy way to extremism, chauvinism, nationalism, hatred, fanaticism. At the conclusion, I want to remind that when communism was collapsing gradually from Poland, Hungary, East Germany, Czechoslovakia, until former Yugoslavia and former Soviet Union, 2 books were published which were very important messages about future. One was End of History from Francis Fukuyama, and the other one was Clash of Civilizations and New World Order from Professor Samuel Huntington. I think that we need to recognize that this is not ending period of human history. There are new threats, new waves of fanaticism, for example, Islamic terrorism or jihadists, who in the name of God liquidate the others. But I want to remind that Stalin and Hitler were baptized as well. What I want to say that dividing line is not going between cultures and civilizations, but it is many times and very visibly going through our hearts and minds. We, each of us, can decide what we stand for, whether we see the others as complementary part of our community or as a problem. Stalin had saying, "Jest человек, есть проблем. Нет человека, нет проблема." Is there a man, there is a problem. If there is no man, there is no problem. Liquidation of people was solution of, so-called solution of problems of the Stalinist empire. So if there is a dividing line, and the idea is from Amos Oz, it's between fanaticism on one side, whether political, religious, secular, ethnic fanaticism, and respect to others, respect to human dignity of all and everywhere, which means culture of humanity, ethics of responsibility. And elimination of fanaticism, fight against intolerance, extremism, is the most successful with openness of hearts and minds. Therefore, I think that such conference, many important ways how we open our hearts and minds, education, which should open our minds, not fill in the minds, is decisive. 21st century with less walls and more bridges is needed and is possible. We need less wall builders and more bridge builders. It means people of reconciliation, people of respect, people of culture and tolerance. More peace and stability is needed, important and possible, and possible. And at the real end, I want to finalize with the parallel idea of Konrad Adenauer, who once said that unity in Europe was a dream of few, desire of many, and now is necessity for all. I believe that unity of humanity, unity of mankind, is a dream and was a dream of few, desire of many, and visibly it is necessity for all. And criteria and ways and goals how to achieve such century, current century, is to promote humanity and solidarity. I thank you very much.